Hey, how's it going, you guys? It's Justin here to talk about UFC Fight Night Stockholm, Gustafsson versus Teixeira, and some other things going on in the news this week, like the MMA Athletes Retreat that happened and all the drama that happened from there, and Demetrius Johnson versus TJ Dillashaw because TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt are officially off. The fight's off for 213, which is unfortunate because that was going to be an incredible fight. But rumors that, TJ Dillashaw came out and said he wants to fight Demetrius Johnson, and then also the Michael Bisping and George St. Pierre, not officially off, but Dana White and everyone else saying that it is, and them making the Yoel Romero and Robert-Whittaker interim title fight, which shows that probably Bisping is going to fight the winner of that coming back, but who knows? I mean, what the hell happens? It's the UFC now, but so all those things in news, and so let's start over at the MMA Fighter Summit or the Athletes Retreat. Sorry, it's 11:30 at night for me, a little late. Okay, sorry about all this being whited out, but I have to have this bright of light for the frame rate not to be shit, so, I'm not trying to cover up any blemishes on my face. I still have, it doesn't matter, so, so the Fighter Summit, that's pretty interesting, some things coming out of there, like, that this guy named Cajun Johnson, him speaking up in the middle, I guess, of this, Anheuser-Busch, a representative of Budweiser came out, I guess, at like 10 o'clock in the morning to speak up to all of the fighters who were there for it was like a class for them. They were writing notes. It was supposed to be super professional, and them taking notes for what they were doing. And apparently, this guy was saying, "Oh, we want winners in this. We don't want any losers. We want just people that don't get knocked out. We only want people that have their hands raised at the end of the night." We don't want any losers. We don't sponsor them. We want you to be yourself. Go out there and talk like Conor McGregor. And it was. I guess the MMA fighters did not receive that correctly. And Cajun Johnson, I guess, came up and spoke out to everyone saying that he's lost a lot of money since Reebok came in the sponsorship. I guess he said he lost about 80% of. He's making only 20% of what he made previously before the sponsorship deal, and people are saying that's probably wrongfully directed at the wrong people. That he probably should have came out and said it directly to UFC because Reebok. It's not their fault that they came in and signed the deal. It's not their. It's not their call to see how. Money should be distributed between all the fighters. That has only thing to do with UFC. Reebok only just put their pen and paper and signed the exclusive deal for them. So, but Cajun Jensen, I heard him interview on MMA Hour, and he said all of that. He's like, that was probably ill-directed. He apologized for it, the unprofessionality of it, but he said it actually ended up being a good thing because he got talking with the guys at Reebok, and him and a whole bunch of other fighters talked to representatives at Reebok, and they asked him a bunch of questions on what the fighters are not happy with, what they don't want to do, or what they want changed, what anything they're not happy with, and Reebok took it all down and actually opened up an open conversation. Which, I mean, the fighters have been complaining about this for years, ever since the first. Everyone's been complaining about this, that the fighters don't have a voice, they don't have anything. They don't have a voice, they don't have a say in the matter, and because he spoke up at this point, they actually got the ball rolling to possibly, getting some complaints out there, because obviously Reebok doesn't like all of this bullshit, and this, people complaining about him and all of these things, the Ireland t-shirt, and of Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland being completely taken off, and just all of these crazy, insane things that Reebok did, and it was unfortunate. And even at this fighter retreat, they gave all the fighters 50% coupons off of one of their items for a one-time use, 50% off. Ooh, that's pretty incredible for all of these super dedicated MMA fighters that put their whole lives into this, and I'm glad they appreciate them to give them a 50% off coupon off of a pair of training shorts. But so the point is that Reebok's actually coming out and giving the fighters a chance to have a voice, and Kijun Johnson also said that. So he said he talked to Reebok, and I forgot who else he said he talked to, but he said he got a couple voices, actually, people talking about unions and stuff like that, and people getting together and actually uniting, and this might be the start of a ball rolling. I mean, I don't think just this one incident is gonna all of a sudden get everyone into the AAA, like unionizing and everyone into it. I don't think it's gonna happen overnight like that, but I think him speaking up, and I guess Leslie Smith spoke up as well and asked Kobe Bryant, which was a really slick move. When I saw that, I was like, that's pretty interesting to ask him without asking the UFC, or he asked him on a straight matter. She asked him, "Do you think the fighters should be unionized? Do you think it's a good idea or not?" And Kobe's like, "I absolutely think it is, because the basketball and football unions, or he used basketball and some other sports unions. The whole sport's entirely changed after that happened. Someone needs to speak for the fighters." This is coming out of Kobe Bryant's voice, Kobe Bryant's mouth, and him. I think, I don't know. Maybe I should look it up, but I think he partially owns the UFC now. But either way, that's very, very interesting for it to come out of his mouth, for saying that. And little things like this is gonna, hopefully the fighters will be smart and get together and figure out something. But yeah, we need more people like that. So I think that was really, really cool of him speaking up like that, and something coming out of it, But so that was one thing that happened at the Athletes Retreat. The other thing was a Cyborg punching Magna in the face after confronting her over there, and all of this garbage that Magna was talking to Cyborg on Twitter is making fun of her, just the way of her looks, and that's like bully mentality. That's not even athletes like talking crap. That's not even. It's not even a right thing to do. It's like, what, she can't control that. She can't control what she looks like. It's not even a fair thing to do. It's not even funny. It's just nasty. It's just gross. It's just cringeworthy. It's not even, like, whoever finds that funny has horrible taste in life. Like, whoever finds that funny, comparing her to whatever, the Saw monster or whatever like that, it's just fucked up. Like, it's just because you can't, like, is it jealousy? I don't know what. Just Magna seems like she seems like a head case, just of stuff I've seen of her on Twitter, and those pictures coming out of her. I mean, anyone that takes new pictures of themselves like that, I think, a little crazy in the head, a little bit like that. So Cyborg came out, and I guess they confronted each other during the UFC Athletes Retreat, and Cyborg punched her in the face. I don't know, people have different takes on this. Obviously, I mean, I don't have to say it, everyone knows it's not right to just punch someone out in the face like that. And Cyborg came out, and her excuse was that she's been bullied her whole life, here, especially in the UFC as a fighter, everyone judging her and bullying her on Twitter, and even other UFC fighters coming out and bullying her, and other parts of her employees, and the UFC doing nothing about it, and even Dana White himself making fun of her, and Joe Rogan, being an employee, making fun of her. She feels like a victim in all this. She feels like she has no one to go to, and yeah, I think that's all good, and that makes sense, and I feel so bad for her, but that doesn't mean you can punch someone and assault them. That doesn't mean any of that. I don't care how much of a bully someone is. I don't care how much. I mean, it was fine that happened, but you're going to suffer the consequences. It's just how it is. I mean, to be honest, I think Magna deserved it. think deserves to get punched in the face, probably even a little more. But you can't use that excuse in a court of law. Maybe you could, uh, but I don't think anything like online bullying, just the minor stuff that she does. She didn't feel threatened at all. It's not going to be a self-defense type thing. So it was fine for her to do that, but she's got to suffer the consequences for just assaulting someone. That's just how it is, and she can't feel bad for that or feel like that. It's part of the deal. It's what you asked for. It's what yeah, that was the cost of doing that. So I hope everything goes okay with that, and I really hope she fights Kat Zingano and at UFC 214. That would be really cool. I just don't think who's the other girl that's talking to fight her. Megan Anderson. That's it. Megan Anderson, them facing off against each other, taking that picture, talking to each other. That'll be fun. I mean, it'll be really good publicity. But looking at footage of Megan Anderson fighting, she seems still very raw. I mean, she's super athletic. She's obviously super tall and super strong, and I mean, a smoke show, of course. But yeah, I think she's too slow and too raw for Cyborg. At least right now. I mean, just give her maybe a couple fights. Even get her name up in the UFC. That would be awesome to have her fight a couple people. Either a couple people going up from 135 to fight her. You can get some other people in Invicta and start this 145 division. I mean, they're already starting the 125 weight division for women, so why not get people in there 145? Get Invicta, get people to fight in there. I mean, Megan Anderson could be a star. Can go out there, fight a couple people. One or two fights, and then maybe next year she can fight Cyborg after Cyborg's the champion. That would be a really, really cool fight. But I think they should make Cyborg Kat Zingano, because Kat Zingano's always wanted that fight, and no one with that big of a name has even thought about fighting Cyborg. Cyborg has fought these no names. I think she would get really, really big money. I think it could even headline a pay-per-view card. Kat Zingano fighting Cyborg for the vacant featherweight title, because it doesn't look like Durandamy's coming back anytime soon. So if she doesn't, they can do a vacant title, they can do an interim title, but I think that can headline a pay-per-view card in Brazil, let's say, or something. And that would be awesome. So so that's that. And then yeah, so the TJ Dillashaw card, and man, that sucks that Cody Garbrandt's out, and it sucks that they waited so long to announce that it was done, because now it's going to be hard to even find a replacement. But everyone has different ideas of the TJ Dillashaw, Demetrius Johnson idea of TJ dropping down 125 pounds to fight him. And it's a good idea, and it's not a good idea at the same time for multiple reasons. Obviously, it's a great idea because that's an incredible fight. That's probably the best person that Demetrius Johnson has ever faced on his title run. I mean, that's not saying that much. Maybe even Benavidez, though. I mean, TJ Dillashaw, man, just who wouldn't want to see that fight? Of course, that's incredible. And obviously, it's a bad fight because it'll mix up a whole bunch of stuff with DJ at 125, and if TJ Dillashaw would stay at 125 pounds if he wins the title, and would he vacate it and stuff. But all of these people saying that TJ Dillashaw shouldn't skip the line for fighting Demetrius, or even Demetrius. People are so concerned with DJ having this winning streak, and what does the winning streak even matter if you're not fighting all the challengers that are coming up to try to fight you? What is it? Why is the streak record beating Anderson Silva more important than facing the best fights? Why does it matter that someone from 135 pounds comes down to fight you? He's a challenger. It's not. He used to be the world champion. He only lost by split decision, which some people say that he won. I thought he won the fight against Dominic Cruz. So he could be the title right now. He's only lost that one fight. And Demetrius Johnson should come out. I mean, I'm not going to... Obviously, he's going to do what he wants and fight who he wants, and that's fine. But just the idea of the record being more important than coming out and fighting. If you're as good as you say, if you're number one pound for pound fighter, you should be able to beat anyone who comes in and challenges you at your weight class. And if TJ wants to come down and fight you for the title, you should accept it, because that's the biggest fight you can make, and that's the toughest challenger, and you say you're the best, so you should face the toughest challenges. That's it. And maybe he needs more time to take it. I can understand DJ's arguments against it. Maybe he needs more time to assess it, or to assess it and figure out exactly what he needs to train, because if you do this in July 8th, that would be about less than 6 weeks or so. And maybe that's not enough time for him. That's fine, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying he wants Ray Borg instead, and he says he wants TJ Dillashaw to come down, fight another opponent at flyweight, and then fight him, and that's fair. I mean, that's fair to do that, but I don't know. People saying that the record for win streaks is more important than him facing this, so he should just fight Ray Borg. Ray Borg is an incredible fighter too. I mean, people are. You think that's like a for sure that he's gonna win the streak with that? Like, what? Why? I don't know. It's just. But I get the point that if TJ only wants to go there for one fight, I can see why that would kind of screw things up for the 125-pound division. But if TJ says he'll go down, and if he wins the title, he'll defend it, then why not? Then he's the greatest of all the time. Then he can be the number one pound-for-pound fighter and go down and fight Demetrius for a rematch. And he can face... Think of all those... He can fight Benavidez. He can fight incredible fighters like that. And he can fight Tim Elliott. He can fight all of those guys at 125 if he becomes the champion. And he can be considered number one pound for pound. So I don't know why people are saying that he doesn't deserve it. Of course he deserves it. So that's my point. And Demetrius Johnson saying that people just can't jump from weight class to getting immediate title shot. But I mean, there's a couple examples. Frankie Edgar did it, going up from 155, and I mean, he lost that title fight against Benson Henderson. He wasn't the title holder, and he came down and fought Jose Aldo for the title. So, and TJ Dillashaw is even coming off a win after he lost the title. So, and GSP, obviously, him coming out, he's not the champion. I mean, he never lost, but he's not the champion at all, and they have him go up to 185, and he fought the title right away. Or he said he was signed the belt that he was going to fight for the title. Of course, that didn't go through, but I mean, they were thinking that idea. They let him do it. So I just think the argument of where they're moving a weight class to get an immediate title shot, I don't see why it has to be so strict and so consistent. As long as TJ Dillashaw says if he wins that fight, he's going to fight. He's the 125-pound champion, and he'll defend it a couple times, then why not? Of course, why not? Like, if he's willing to do that, then great. Then we have a new pound-for-pound champion if he beats Demetrius Johnson. If not, then DJ will beat him, and it'll be an incredible fight. It'll put a complete stamp. It'll be a 100% stamp on him that he's the best fighter of all time, pound-for-pound at least right now. And that'll be an incredible fight, and it'll make him... I don't know. I just think I think I made my point pretty clear on that. So, and then finally, since the Michael Bisping GSP fight is off, not officially, but yeah, they made the Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker fight for the interim title. That is so awesome that they did that finally. I mean, people are arguing that the middleweight division is held up, and because they made that fight, it's not held up anymore. They can fight for the title in July, and then Luke Rockholds and Gegard Mousasi can fight each other for the number one contender to fight either Michael Bisping or GSP if they fight in October or December, or whoever Michael Bisping fights, whoever's the title afterwards. Because they can still make that fight in October, even with this interim title going around. Because they promised him that fight. That's fucked up to do that. Have a press conference, have people come out and do it, and I mean his knee's messed up anyway, so he's not going to be able to fight for a while. And only, let's say he comes back in September or something, like, and has to fight one of these guys. You all remember Romero-Whittaker? Like, how messed up is that? That he was waiting, he was promised this GSP fight, and he could have done it a month or two afterwards. I mean, I don't. I think Michael Bisping is smarter than that. I think he'll understand. I mean, he's got to heal up, and I think he'll keep hammering for that GSP fight no matter what. And Dana White said that GSP is coming out and fighting the 170-pound title holder, but I mean, we can't believe anything Dana White says. He says stuff all the time that never comes true, or complete lies, or complete nonsense, and changes his mind all the time. I mean, look exactly what happened here. That GSP was going to fight Bisping, and because GSP has to wait a little bit to go fight, and he has to fight at the end of the year, then Dana White says, no, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I don't want that to happen anymore. Bisping's like, what the hell? What the fuck, man? So, I don't know. We can't believe it until we actually see it, till the actual bout agreement is signed. And all we know is Romero and Robert Whittaker is going to be an incredible fight. It's going to be an incredible fight. I mean, I'm on the Robert Whittaker train right now. I've been for a while. And I saw him winning that. I mean, I can't say I thought he was going to win that. God, terrible with names. I saw him winning his last fight against Jacare Souza. I thought he was going to win that because he was a lot faster than him. And yeah, Jacare Souza is a monster. He's really, really good at closing the distance, getting the takedowns, and he's just like he says, he's like a gator on top. He'll just he's incredible at that, but I thought he was too slow, especially in his last fight. He doesn't have good stand-up, and it's really hard to take Robert Whittaker down, and he has really, really quick feet and really quick hands, and is really strong, especially at 185 now. And I don't know, Yoel Romero is just, he's slow, lackadaisical, but you can never figure him out. That's why this is going to be such a good fight. And because of this, I think Luke Rockhold can't complain anymore. Gegard Mousasi can't complain anymore, because you can just treat this like an actual title, because everyone's going to get paid like they're holding the title. If the interim title gets passed around, let's say Robert Whittaker wins and Luke Rockhold wins against Gegard Mousasi, then we have Luke Rockhold and Robert Whittaker they can make at the end of the year for the interim title. They want to keep fighting for it, because GSP was, and Bisping was already promised GSP, and since he's injured, similar thing's going to happen. He's not going to be able to fight till he's healed, and it's going to be around the time that GSP wants to fight. So that only makes sense to me. And who knows? Let's say GSP, but he said, it's so dumb. But anyways, so yeah, that's my whole thing. So I think it's a really, really great fight to make, and that was really cool how they figured that stuff was going to take a while. So let's just put this interim fight title out here and let them fight for it and keep the division moving, which is great. That's a really, really good idea. They should have done that already with the interim title for, I mean, they were going to do it for the lightweight title, but they should do that really soon for, let's say, Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson, since Khabib won't come fight until freaking after Ramadan. And, I mean, I don't mean to, anyways, we don't have to get into religion, but, after Ramadan, which stinks. I mean, he only got out of that fight because he couldn't make weight, but so yeah, so that's all the news going on right now. Yeah, so I'll just review the last couple fights of the Stockholm card, because I don't know many. I mean, I know the other fighters, I just don't know much about them, not enough to actually talk about it, and you guys will be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about. So, which I am for a lot of things, but never mind. Here we go. So the co-main event is going to be Volkan Ozdemir versus Misha Serkinov, and Volkan Ozdemir was his last fight against Ovince St. Preux. He came in on late notice to fight him, and he looked okay. I don't know, Ovince St. Preux is super super awkward, and people give him credit for some knockouts he has, but it's because people that can't figure him out, his awkwardness, uh, they it's just hard for them to figure it out. And yeah, that was his only fight in the UFC that he came in, and because he beat him in split decision, now they ranked him number 5 for some reason, which is the weirdest ranking ever. And he looked okay in that fight. I mean, didn't look terrible. Um, he's a pretty good kickboxer. He's a little slow though, lackadaisical at times, but um, yeah, he's a pretty decent kickboxer. Um, that's all he really showed in that fight. But Zirkunov he is a big strong. He's 2 inches taller than Ozdemir, and I think he's thicker. So let's see his last few fights. I know he's looked really good. Um, yeah, he beat Nikita Krylov. That was a first round submission. Uh, yeah, he beat Alex Nicholson. He beat Kutalaba. Um, and he beat Daniel Jolly. That was a really good fight. He just knocked him out right away. I mean, Daniel Jolly's he's just an athletic guy that used to play football, but um, yeah, he's looked really good and really dominant. He's finished his 4 fights in the UFC. He's finished all of them, and yeah, this guy looks like a beast. Just really good on his feet, really good everywhere, really. Um, but just worried about his gas tank, because he tends to slow down a little bit in the fight. And I think that's the only way that Ozdemir has a chance, is he shows that he can. I mean, he gassed a little bit, but that was still late notice. We haven't seen him in a full off a full camp, but I think Misha Krylov has more ways to win this fight than Ozdemir do, and I think that's a ridiculous ranking to rank him number 5 after he wins a split decision with uh with an OSP that didn't even look like. Gosh, OSP is so frustrating to watch because he's so athletic, but he has no structure to what he's doing in there. He just likes to go in there and just throw a jab here and throw this kick here, and super off balance with everything, and it's so annoying to watch. And I mean, give it all to him for going in the ring and even doing that, but I just wish they had some structure, that he went to an actual big camp and actually got his fundamentals down and got his footwork down, and he'd be incredible. He could have been way bigger of a challenge in that John Jones fight if he actually had some decent fundamentals. But so I think Misha Krylov submits him probably in the second round, and then we go to the main event. Alexander Gustafsson versus Glover Teixeira, ranked to number 1 and 2. Yeah, Alexander Gustafsson. We're only gonna know what he's gonna be like. We have to figure out. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. He's probably underneath Jones, probably the best fighter in the light heavyweight division. I think he's better than Daniel Cormier. When it comes to footwork and how fast he is, and his punches and takedown defense and everything, I think he's just really skilled. And people underestimate how the speed he has on his feet. He goes around and runs around like he's a lightweight. Like, it's incredible. That's why Whittaker has taken over the middleweight division, because it's really hard to fight someone that's light on their feet like that, and moves around really well and super quick on their feet, especially at 205. I don't know. It depends how he's going to come in, especially after his last fight, which he took it to the ground and, I mean, beat the other guy on the ground. But his fights against Daniel Cormier and John Jones were really tough on him, and he obviously went away from the sport for a while and was talking about retirement and talked about depression and a bunch of stuff he was going through. So Half the fighting game is mental. I mean, we see a lot of that when you see fights. I mean, you saw Jose Aldo get mentally destroyed by McGregor, uh, even after being undefeated for 10 years. So mental game is a huge thing. If Alexander Gustafsson is mentally strong, I think he'll go in there and easily take out Glover in 2 or 3 rounds. But if he goes in there and it's just a little bit lackadaisical, a little off, a little slow to start, Glover Teixeira, I mean, people think he's old and he might be a worn out fighter, but he still is super, super heavy in his hands. I mean, he got knocked out by Anthony Johnson, but I mean, he came back against who's that Alaskan fighter? The Cannonier. He came out against him and looked really, really good. His wrestling, at least. I mean, he got a little bit tagged on the feet, but I think that was good for Gustafsson and Teixeira to have comeback fights against a little bit of lower ranked fighters to come back and get warmed up again. I think it was good for both of them to have that and then come back and see who's better here. But people were counting out Glover Teixeira in this fight, and I don't think you should, because he has really, really tight boxing, really good head movement, underrated head movement, and really heavy punches. Really, really good wrestler. He's really good at that single leg, going in and grabbing the single leg and taking him down. And even though Gustafsson is hard to take down, I mean, you can get on the inside of him pretty well sometimes. You saw John Jones do that, and Daniel Cormier, obviously. Um, so if Glover can get inside and do some dirty boxing punches and take him down, and I mean, he could win the fight. But after what I've seen from both of them, I think Gustafsson comes out. I think he wins it. It'll be close though. It'll be closer than people think. I think it'll be. I don't know if he'll finish him. I really don't know. I think it might be a one tough. Might go back and forth. I think it'll be like 3-2 rounds for Gustafsson. Maybe 4 rounds, but some along those lines. I think he wins by decision. It'll be a rough in and out fight, but I think he takes it. So, okay. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for dealing with my whited out freaking face and my little bit of lackadaisicalness. And sorry, it's just a little late, and I think it's midnight right now. Yeah, it's 12:10 in California. So, thank you guys for listening, and please like, share, and subscribe, and comment on any questions that you have, anything you want me to talk about. Please, don't be afraid to ask me, and I think it'll be fun. So, thank you guys for listening. Have a good night, or have a good one.